AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need.
Quick, he's going to go. What a give it to Smith, and they stop him again. Go back. He looks, fires for the end zone. Intercepted. The 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown. Matt Ware. Midfield. He's going to go. Deshaun Jackson. He steps up his head and falls forward. And he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it. It's one. And the Eagles win.
It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to another edition of the AATBirds Weekly Report. I myself, Johnny Oleka, is joined by special guest Vince Quinn from Bell and the Birdman. Vince, how's everything going in this, lull of a period with NFL and the Eagles football?
Yeah, well, Johnny, my friend. Oh, yeah, things are wonderful. I'm having a drink. I'm feeling good. I hope people are feeling good out there. Dude, Memorial Day weekend's the best. It's just such a good feeling. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm going to be able to do all this fun stuff. And maybe I have a vacation plan for the summer. And I spent Sunday at a grill for a couple hours. That's life, man. I love all that stuff. It's the best.
Oh, no, it's great. We broke out our new flat top grill that we got. So it was nice cooking some burgers and hot dogs and all that good stuff. So definitely a fun time. And basically the official start to summer, if you want to call it that. Pools opening up, all that good stuff, which means also training camp is around the corner too, as OTAs are starting up with the Eagles, and then training camp preseason. All of a sudden, hey, look, football season starts. So we still have 102 days going on, 101 for Eagles football. So we still have.
But who's counting? Period. Who's counting? Not us. We're not.
I want to talk to you a little bit about this Eagles offseason. And yes, it was a tough ending to the season, losing the Super Bowl and everything there, but there was positives. And then going into this offseason, we heard the talk of the Eagles have so many free agents. They're going to lose all these guys. They're not going to be able to field I'm not going to say competitive, but a team that was as put together as it was last year. And as all looks of it, I think the team is pretty close to kind of how good it was last year in terms of how deep this team and roster is.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. I think people have somehow, I don't know if it's just social media brain or whatever it is, but the Jalen Hurts contract is one of the greatest contracts that's ever been signed in the history of football. That deal is insane. I mean, he's an MVP level quarterback that does it for all the right ways. He makes good decisions. He's accurate. He's always leading guys. He's just he's so killer, and he's a great runner. And cap hits the next 3 years, let's go 4 years of this deal, and 3 of those being an extension. This year, $6 million cap hit. Next year, $13 million cap hit. 21, almost 22, 31, almost 32. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. You can do whatever you want when a quarterback is getting paid that kind of money, and I don't think people understand that. This, I'll say it again. This is one of the greatest deals that's ever been signed in the history of the league. So I just dude, everything else that's happened from that is I mean, there's plenty of good moves that we can get and all that stuff. I'm totally down. But I just think number one, man, Jalen's contract is just that guy. He is Tom Brady. I say he's Tom Brady all the time. He's Tom Brady, man. He did a Tom Brady deal. This doesn't happen. It's crazy.
No, and it's great. And the funny thing, you brought that up, because if you look at the Lamar Jackson contract, which was signed after Jalen Hurts, and you look at his cap numbers the next 4 seasons, it's 22.1, 32.4, 43.6, 74.6. So yeah. You look at the way that they structured that deal, and yes, there are huge hits towards the end of that, but that's when you just extend them and do along the lines of that, and then you just move more money around, and so be it. And Howie Roseman and the Eagles are so good at that. And some teams are starting to kind of try to do what the Eagles have been doing. But again, you have to also have an owner like Jeffrey Lurie able to cut those checks to be able to do stuff like this. And I think a lot of people don't know that. And Jeffrey Lurie wants to win, and he's willing to do whatever he wants to do to win. And I just feel like what you said, bringing up that contract, it's such a great contract. And then you just look at what they've done this offseason, CJ Gardner-Johnson's gone. We know the story with all of that. We know everything. But again, you're able to keep Slay and keep Bradbury. You're able to keep those guys. You're able to sign these prove-it deals with these younger free agents. It isn't like in 2018 signing older veterans in their 30s already. You're getting guys in their mid to some of them are late 20s, but who have still tread on the tires, and they're able to show something. And I think that's perfect when you look at the way this team is built, because you need depth. You're not going to be as healthy as you were last year. And I've mentioned that a couple of times because they just were so – they had 22 of their 22 starters from opening day start in the Super Bowl. And you just don't see that. And unfortunately, I don't expect that to be, the norm. They will have injuries. They did have injuries last year, but I mean, you're going to have injuries. Depth is absolutely key to making another run to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be different this year. I mean, like you said, you can't have every starter live in the Super Bowl, but they'll have 20 when this year in the Super Bowl. They'll be fine.
That's okay.
So I'm not worried about it. That's part of it for me too, right? Like you could say, okay, in certain spots, if they've taken a step back, yes. Like some of this is about, you got to think about windows, right? And for the Eagles. And for a team like this in general, like you said with Lamar, I mean, for Baltimore, their problem's always been they pay all these guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and they were never able to build a good enough offense to go and make the most out of Lamar, and he's gotten better year over year. So, now that they're paying him all that money, it's over for them. It's nowhere close for them. And when you look at where the Eagles are in this window and all these young guys and the talent that they've got and the cap flexibility they're going to have over the next couple of years, because again, 2-3 years from now, Jalen Hurts is going to cost $32 million, and right now Mahomes is making $50, and he's underpaid. So it's a massive, massive, massive advantage. You're going to be able to do whatever the hell you want. So thinking about how the team can be built that way, and then you've got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, young guys coming up. Nakobe Dean, we'll see. Offensive line, some of these guys are really young. I mean, Mailata is young. Dickerson is young. We're going to see what happens with Steen and where he goes. He might start. So, they're not going to be as deep. But, when you think of the potential and the long-term value of this team, they're going to be competitive easily for the next 3 years. You can say that with a lot of certainty because all these guys are young. They're locked up. They're too deep everywhere. And, the conference is so bad that, I mean, what are the odds that they're not even if they're not the best team 2 years from now, what are they, top 5? There's
Exactly.
so many bad teams, man.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing, I always love when I see people put out, the Eagles need to, surround all this talent with Jalen Hurts. They have to sign all these guys and get all these guys. But honestly, if you really look, you open the roster up, you look at it, they drafted Mailata, they drafted Dickerson, they developed Kelsey. I know he's been here for years. They developed Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham. They developed Fletcher Cox. They developed. You have all these other guys that they've drafted, and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. You have to add certain pieces, but I think one big thing we were worried about, and I know I was worried about it, when you looked at after the Super Bowl, those years, and then 2020 happened, you looked and said, well, who is the core? What guys are the core? And I said, when I started all of this, and I said, the one thing that you need to do is the next couple of drafts, you need to get guys who are going to be those foundational pieces to build. And Jalen Hurts, they were able to get Hurts. They got Dickerson. They were Devontae Smith. They were able to get those pieces, and they're just building off of that. And you still have these key veterans who are in their 30s now, but still playing at a high enough level. And I just think people don't realize how much the Eagles have done, and Harry Roseman with the drafts the last couple of seasons. Yes, you miss on some. That's the way every team is. But the way that they built this team, and like you said, they've built this team for success. And even look down the line a couple of years, they're still going to be a top 5 team in this conference because of the way the conference is.
Yeah, so it's just Yeah, you got all this, and it's cool, right? Because in terms of the transition that it's going to be for the next couple of years, like, yeah, in the next 2-3 years, Kelsey is gone, Cox is gone, maybe Lane Johnson is gone, Brandon Graham, like everybody's gone from the Super Bowl team, and that's fine. But like the Eagles are just they're so focused on locker room, and it's cool to be able to have, I mean, incredible talent all over the place, and have guys that like really like each other and enjoy each other and love the sport and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you don't love Nolan Smith now, right? Like that guy's amazing. I mean, he's a rookie. He's come in here, but he's just so much fun. He's got all this energy. Everything he's saying about playing the game is like absolute fire. They put out that clip, a couple days ago, where he was like, "Hey, coach, thanks for drafting me. Send me the playbook. I'm ready I want to kick some ass out there." Like, he's awesome. You just like to think about all those kinds of guys that are in this locker room. It's such a hard thing to find. And I think a lot of teams, they want character guys, but like character guys aren't always very good. And they've had the ability to find all these guys. And for the most part, they've been really good. Like, it's crazy. I'm always just blown away about how good of an organization top to bottom it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw the one, I think it was during Chris Long's podcast with Nolan Smith. And he mentioned talking to him because he had him on the bus after Howie Roseman. And it was great. He goes, "Nolan Smith, I'm playing in the cold weather." Because they asked about the cold weather. He goes, "I don't mind it. I don't care. As long as I get out there and hit a mother effer, I don't really care about none of that shit. You get warmer the more you hit people." I tell people that. And I thought that's awesome.
Yeah.
He gets it. And honestly, I think he could be one of the steals of the draft, and absolutely love the pick there. You're able to get these two, key cogs to a Georgia defense, which was probably one of the greatest defenses of all time in NCAA football history. And I've also mentioned too, people complain about it, saying you're getting too many guys off the same team. It's not going to work out. But again, if I told you back in the early 2000s that you could take 5 players off of the Miami Hurricanes defense that had so many studs on there, you'd say, "Oh, absolutely." So just because you're getting them all off the same defense doesn't mean that they can't be productive in the NFL. And I think with this defense and the new defensive coordinator, which I loved his press conference, was night and day different than the old coordinator, Mr. Gannon. And I love what he said. He knows how to basically, he's been in this city, so he understands it. And I think that's absolutely perfect for what you need for this city and this defense and this team.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? Because like that's the cool thing too is when they like them change it from a 4-3 to a 3-4. I know there's nuance, but like you get what I'm saying. Like when they switched all that over, that it just changed everything in the best way. Because it was like if you're looking at all the elite college defenses, what are they doing? They're playing a 3-4. So like go get those guys. You know what I mean? Like you were limited to all these Big Ten guys, and that was kind of it. So like now you can go, oh, we can get Alabama guys, we can go and get Georgia guys, we can just go get anybody from the SEC basically. That's where all the great players are. So like, yes, it was kind of dumb that looking back. I mean, it's crazy they were so successful for so long, but like, it's kind of dumb that they were in a 4-3 as long as they were. When you think about it, because now you can get all these Georgia guys in there and let them develop, and they actually fit what you're trying to do, and they're all great prospects in their own right. I mean, Keely Ringo, to plenty of people, was mocked in the first round. I would have been okay if they took him in third. I was totally good with that. So he's what, 4th round? What are you arguing about? Is it wrong that they got a guy that's 20 years old, that's a great athlete, that's played in big games against great competition, done well, and you're drafting him in the 4th round when you have Slay and Bradbury? Who cares? And Maddox, who cares? What do you get upset about for a pick like that? Get guys that win, that are talented, that want to play the game. They're all there supporting each other. Didn't we talk about Jalen Carter and culture? Wasn't that a big thing? Isn't everybody worried about that? Like, all the stuff, I mean, look, the whole drag racing and all the stuff that went into that, it was terrible. But like, he's surrounded by teammates. He's in the Eagles locker room. He's got all the veteran guys that everybody knows and loves. And like, if you're going to pick a place for him to succeed, it's here. So like, I love all that stuff, man. As long as Georgia's good, keep picking Georgia players. It's fine with me.
Yeah, because you look too, 4th round, they got Avonte Maddox and Josh Sweat in the 4th round. So, or they got Josh Sweat in, I think, 5th round. So actually, hey, you look at that round, they can get a player. Like, he doesn't need to go there and start right away. It doesn't need to be that way. He could sit, he can learn from two of the best, and be able to be in that locker room. And like you said, he is super young, and that's great because that's what the Eagles are doing. And it feels like the last couple of years, that is what they're doing in the draft. They're getting guys that are going to be, they're just sitting there waiting in the wings, almost redshirting, and then they're going to be able to play. You look at Cam Jurgens, whether he plays guard or maybe he sits another year behind Kelsey. You look at a player like Jordan Davis. He's going to be playing now. They did sign Linval Joseph, but he learned behind a veteran and learned with, a Hargrave and a Fletcher Cox. And doing that, I think, is absolutely perfect with what you need to do with a team is when you have these stacked of a team that they've had the last couple of seasons now, and you're able to draft a kind of the successor, but they can sit behind the guy and learn and not have to have them go out right away and play 50, 60, 70% of the snaps, whether it be a defensive player or offensive player. And I think that is great. But no, I just love what they're doing. And I feel that the ultimate goal and what Jalen, the quarterback's working. He's working as hard as ever because that's just the type of person he is. And I feel us as a fan base is so lucky that the Eagles went and drafted him in the second round in 2020. And it's funny because it's taken some fans a little bit longer to get on board. It's taken some a little bit, maybe right after they're drafted. For me, it was after that first year, 2020. I liked Jalen Hurts from a start. After 2020, it was, after Wentz was gone, everything. It was, can he be a franchise guy? And I says, if you can take that next step every year, get better and better and better, because he did that in college. He got better and better. You could do that in the NFL. You can be, a very good quarterback. Did I expect the rise that he had? Absolutely not. I didn't expect that. And did having those players help? Absolutely. And for people to say that, oh, he's only good because he has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard, and they got him all these weapons and these offensive line. Okay, well, in 2004, the Eagles finally got a receiver in Terrell Owens for McNabb, and he had Owens and Westbrook and a good offensive line, and he had the best season of his career. So you look at the other quarterbacks around the NFL, the top quarterbacks, they have weapons on their team. And to say that he can't be elite if he has all these guys, it's the funniest thing in my opinion, because you need playmakers to be a good quarterback. You're not going to be Peyton Manning had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison for the most of, all his career. So just because you have these great players doesn't mean that you're going to be elevated to that level right away. You still have to produce, and he did that last year.
Yeah, he was amazing. Like, I think what people don't appreciate about him and what really makes him great is he just doesn't make bad decisions. He's making a good decision every single time. Like, it's not reasonable to expect a guy with the read option, as much as they ran it, to make the right read, 98% of the time. I mean, there was always lanes and always positive yardage. Like, the Eagles were never in, hardly ever was it all right, it's 2nd and 13. You know what I mean? Like, he just, that's Jalen making the call of who's going to get the ball. Is it me? Is it him? I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to keep it and making a positive play out of that. When, how many times last season did you see schoolyard ball? Where he was just like, hey, man, I'm just going to drop this play in the huddle. And Devontae, you're going to be open in the corner of the end zone. You're welcome. And they would score. It was crazy. So he did so many things that are above and beyond. And I think that's the kind of stuff that you don't really appreciate until you see it. You know what I mean? He did it for a whole season. You watch that, you go, holy crap. Before he was, he's young, he's running around, he's lobbing the ball up. He was fun, he was interesting, but was he good? I don't know if he was really good his rookie year, but everything he did last year was just, that's unbelievable MVP. This guy is a legitimate superstar kind of stuff. And I think nationally, people don't watch the games all the time, so they look at him and they go, well, his arms is, it's fine. It's not elite or whatever. But, who cares? How many guys have a massively strong arm and they're complete idiots and they throw the ball away 45 times? Let's get Brock Osweiler again. Huh? What's he up to? Where's Brock? Where's Paxton Lynch? Let's get Paxton Lynch in here. Big guys. big arms. Like, who cares? It's are you good at the position or not? Are you good at the game or not? And like to have all the intangibles to go with how smart he is and how accurate he is and all that kind of stuff is just, you don't get this in players. And I was like, for me, it was like when they drafted him, I'm like, I hate everything about this. Like, first 24 hours, I hated it. And then I came around, I was like, all right, well, quarterbacks, and they've traded a lot of guys. So, like, maybe this is going to work. But I never figured he'd be legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the league when there's so many good, talented young guys, man. I mean, he's a whole other animal. And it's honestly, I think it's going to take a couple of years for people to fully appreciate it because they always just want to make excuses.
Yeah, and for me in 2020, that Arizona Cardinals game where he started out so bad and it looked like he was way above his head, and it was just like, oh no. And then all of a sudden, he got to a point where they were actually winning that game after being down by a good amount, and it was like, okay, they may have something here. And, you know, maybe that was also when Carson was like, oh no, it's time that this isn't my team anymore. But it's just crazy how everything has fallen into place. And you look at that, and you look at the kind of offense that they're running, and yeah, it's a run-based offense, but they can do so many other things with it. And I know people got on Miles Sanders. He had a tough season, 2021, scoring no touchdowns. Then he had a really good season last year. And then the playoffs, it seemed that playoff Kenny came in and basically outshined him. And in the Super Bowl, he had the first carry, he got hit out of bounds, the ball came loose, and then you really didn't see him. And, you know, that was a little concerning. But then they go in free agency and they get Rashad Penny, and they trade for DeAndre Swift during the third day of the draft. So you add those two guys to still having Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, the giant killer, and you have a multitude of backs that can do a number of things. Now, I know there's some injury history with the first two guys, with Swift and with Penny, but I think it's one heck of a room. And of course, you can sprinkle in Jalen Hurts, but hopefully they're able to take enough of a load off of Jalen and let these two guys, especially Penny and Swift, be able to take on that workload and pound teams, you know, or throw on teams. And then at the end, they have to stop these two guys, which you kind of saw last year, and why Jalen Hurts' numbers weren't as high as people, you know, like to say, well, he doesn't throw for all these yards and doesn't have all these touchdown passes. Because when you get up by 4 scores on a team, you're not going to be passing on them. You're just going to run the ball, which they did a lot. Like you also said, schoolyard football. A lot of it was after they got those huge leads, it was not, let's just run the ball. Let's do dipsy-do around the edge and just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you talk about when it comes to it's kind of an old school phrase. I feel like you don't hear this as much anymore, but like that whole phrase of playing left-handed, you know, it's like, oh, once you get to the playoffs, they're gonna take away what you do well. You got to play left-handed. Which, first off, as a lefty, I resent that remark. How dare you? But then
a shot at Brock Purdy. He tried to play left-handed.
Well, yeah, I know, and you know, if they just had that 6th-string quarterback, they totally would have won. So
they should have kept Nate Sudfeld. He's got a hell of an arm.
Yeah, hearts and prayers, thoughts and prayers over to the 49ers. So yeah, it's just like you look at the Eagles, man, and like that's part of what is so amazing about them is they can win any way you want. Like, is it a defensive dominant performance and they get 5 sacks in the game and they cause a turnover and they win an ugly one? Sure. Can you run the ball for 200 yards and beat people that way? Sure. Can you pass for 400? Sure. It doesn't matter. Like, you can anything outside of special teams for the most part, whatever. But anything outside of that.
Hopefully they fix that.
Hey, what was it? Legatron? Legatron, baby. Hey. We're on the Legatron train. We're rooting hard for Legatron.
Is not on the team, then we should be fine.
Yeah, that's all it is. So like, it's like most teams don't have that, and that's one of those cool things that, like, with Jalen making such a team-friendly kind of deal that. Like Aaron Rodgers in his prime, right? Even the last couple of years, what would happen if he got injured for the Packers? They were screwed. They'd lose like 14 games, and they were god-awful because they're really about one guy and winning one way, and that's all they're built to do. And when you do that, you can win a lot of games, sure, but like, are you a Super Bowl winner? No. I mean, he won one in 2009, and that was it. So if you think about like what's sustainable, what gives you the most cracks at it, it's just you can build a full team, and then all right, well, Jalen Hurts gets injured, or I don't know, something horrific happens, you have to get another quarterback in there. Like, okay, but you have such a good team in so many areas that you can still be really competitive with a backup quarterback. Whereas a lot of teams, you don't have an offensive line, you might have one receiver, you maybe have a pass rusher or two, but your defense sucks, and you just can't win a lot that way. So like, it's nice to know that, okay, Jalen doesn't have to do everything, and I think that goes with the decision making. Like everything, all the good elements of this team just feed each other, and they're just. That's why they win. I mean, how many games did they win last year? Like 13, 14? Like, that's how you win that many games, because you can't – there's so many ways you can't lose. You know? It's cool.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, you know, last thing I want to bring up before last point, last thing right here before I want to bring up a non-Eagle, but where do you think the need is looking right now on almost June, May 31st? Where do you think that they could still add to this team, and where do you think the weakest point is right now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the biggest weakness is offensive line depth. For things that really matter, they're throwing a lot of dice, and I don't think people fully appreciate that. I mean, offensive line for the most part is great. You're going to figure out what happens in guard. I think it's Steen. I'm rooting for him to win the job over Juergens, and that's not to say I don't like Juergens, but like I think they want Steen to be the guy. I'd rather have him just get in there right away. But there's so many guys. I mean, like just journeyman flyers that maybe started like 4 or 5 games. There's all these undrafted rookies. Like there's just so much stuff. Oh, and I'm getting handed pizza during this. Wow, that is amazing. She's a wonderful woman. I love her to death. So, yeah, like you just look at all the offensive line depth, and usually the Eagles have like a million guys deep, but they're talented. But I think for what you need with a team like them and what we're used to, I think the depth is underrated. And they worked out DJ Fluker a couple of days ago. I think we're going to see more of that. And I think if they add anybody, they're trying to get a solid backup flex lineman in here. That's what I think.
No, and that's absolutely perfect. You need that. You need to have a veteran and someone that could fill in. Hopefully it's not like a Jamone Brown type of fill in where the guy doesn't know what he's doing anymore.
Fixing his gloves mid-play.
Yeah. That's always one I always bring up to one of my co-hosts, one of my buddies, Chip. He took a video of him doing that back in 2020 and posted it, and it went all over. Yeah, I didn't get that. That was just an absolute crazy moment. You know, 2020 was a crazy year altogether, especially for the Philadelphia Eagles. But so last thing I want to bring up is DeAndre Hopkins was released by the Arizona Cardinals. I know anytime anyone's released, everyone always says, "Oh, the Eagles go get him." It's just common nature when you look at the Twitter world and everything that Eagles fans want to say, "Oh, go get him." Doesn't matter what it may be. I did see, I think it was yesterday, Albert Breer talked to a couple AFC executives saying that he can no longer run. He can't separate like he used to. Okay, he never really could run in the first place. But I understand where they're coming from there. I think it's kind of like when the Eagles first got Alshon Jeffrey. He couldn't really separate. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he could catch and he still can make plays. And I feel like that's where you are with Hopkins. There's a number of teams. You, of course, see all the teams. Would I love him on the Eagles as a number 3 guy? Absolutely, of course. You always want, your team to get better no matter what it is. Just keep him away from the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. That's all I have to say. But 2 teams that I thought that could be kind of dark horses. I know you always see the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities, the Baltimores. 2 teams I could see: the Atlanta Falcons and the Cleveland Browns. Those are 2 guys that I would say. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons are kind of fun. They're such a like YOLO kind of team, and I love that about them. They're just like, yeah, let's just get Bijan. Let's throw the ball deep with Marcus Mariota a million times, and like, who cares? So they're fun. And if they started playing Pitts in the slot, which you could totally do, then I could see that working. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, like from an Eagles standpoint, I think you said the most important thing, which is He's a wide receiver 3. He's the third best wide receiver on this team. There's no doubt about it. So, like, I don't think it works just because he wants to get paid like a 1 or like a 2, and he's going to get paid and play like a 3. So I'm not taking a snap away from Devontae Smith for anything. I love that guy. I think he is the man. I think he's a potential Hall of Famer. Like, I'm not messing with him even a little bit. So if he wants to come here and be wide receiver 3, which is really like number 4, because I'd take Dallas Goedert and everything that he gets with matchups and everything at this point. So yeah, I just like, it's fun. If he comes here, it's fun, and I assume he gets a good deal. So like, give me that. But yeah, like realistically, I'm not expecting to buy a jersey soon. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You're right. It would be fun. You know, you could do so many different things. You could put Devontae in the slot. You can move AJ Brown in the slot. Move these guys all around to cause chaos for defenses. Would it be fun? Absolutely, it would be fun. And at some point, you know, seeing all these signings, I wish that training camp was at Lehigh again, like it used to be back in the day, because that's where, growing up, that's where I went and everything. I think that would be fun. You know, you have the TO-esque players, seeing AJ Brown, Smith, and all those guys. That's one thing I wish that would come back. Unfortunately, it most likely won't. Damn Chip Kelly changing that.
Yep.
Throwing Howie in the basement, all those good stuff. But yeah, it should be a fun season. You know, you guys are doing great things. You want to plug what you guys are doing at Bell and the Birdmen. You guys are doing some awesome stuff. And also your trip you're doing. I know you guys are going out to LA.
Yeah, we're gonna be going to LA. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a huge trip, by the way. So like, it's not released yet. We're finalizing all the details on this, but it's gonna be up pretty much any day now. So you can follow us at Bell and the Bird on Twitter. It's the easiest way to find it. We'll definitely be plugging it once it's out there. But yeah, man, I mean, right now we've got a like cheesesteak place that's willing to serve, like they're going to shut the place down and serve a cheesesteak to everybody that comes with us on the trip. That's and give cool. Everybody a free beer, which is awesome. We're trying to get a comedy show a private comedy show on Saturday night at the hotel before the game. Like we're doing all this stuff, dude. John's been running wild. John Bartred, my co-host over there, he's constantly like, Vince, we got to do this thing with this crazy idea. And I'm like, yes, John, please go do this. They're like, yes, let me know I can help. So it's been super fun, and we're really excited about it. So, yeah, if you want to go to LA, Eagles-Rams, it's going to be October 6th is the game. It's also Columbus weekend, which means it's a long weekend, and it's like the perfect time to go out to LA. So we'll put that out. And then I know the other thing, and we've talked about this a little bit just in general off air, Content Club, man. Content Club has just been like, that's our baby. Not to say Bell isn't, but like this is one of those things we've been thinking about for like 7 years in some capacity with me and John. And the whole idea is, especially now, I mean, local businesses, content creators, trying to find ways to just get everybody together, understand they need each other, and do good business together. Like as a local business, how do you get content creators to help promote your business and your brand, your product, and like you get a new audience, new customer base? And for content creators to say, hey, I've got an audience, it's valuable, I can help turn that into something that can benefit your business and get paid for that. Like, and get paid a real rate. You know what I mean? There's so much junk out there that brands try to take advantage of people. We've seen it, we've been through it, and we're sick of it. So that's a lot of what Content Club is. It's a podcast right now. It's also a monthly meeting at the Pyramid Club, and people can follow us at SBXPHL if they want to get involved with that.
No, it's some absolutely great stuff that you guys are doing, you know, on Bell and the Birdman and also with Content Club. A lot of awesome stuff. And you guys going to any other games? You have any other games in mind that you're going to be attending or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. We got to figure it out, man. I mean, our time is just like all over the place right now. So we got so many things cooking that I don't want to not do it right. You know what I mean? So like, we'd love to. And we've got some ideas, but we want to make sure LA's locked in, and then we'll figure it out from there.
No, I understand that. And, you know, it's always crazy, especially around you started getting into this point, and, you know, for like us, it's, you know, looking at some games we'd want to go to, also looking at some live events, also looking at some other stuff. It's just, it can be hectic, but you have to just keep pushing forward and just keep doing what you got to do, because you never know. And, you know, that's how this started. It was something for fun, and, you know, it turned into, something that I absolutely enjoy, running both the pages, the Instagram and the Twitter pages. And it's an enjoyable interaction. I like the interactions with people. I like all the fans to be able to see that, oh, I remember that. It's just the fun times. And then being able to go to the games and, talk with the fans and have fun and enjoy it. And it's what it's all about. It's not you're up against this person. You're supposed to help each other. And that's one thing I feel like a lot of people don't think in terms of the brands. If you want to say Eagles podcasts, it's like you're not up against each other. You're helping each other out. Where you can, help each other is the best thing. And I feel like a lot of people don't see it that way, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's with anything, podcasting in general. And, you look at all the athletes and everybody starting it and doing it because they understand it's the new wave. It's where everything is going. Everybody wants a voice, and it's a perfect outlet, if you want to say, for people, whether it's talk about sports or really anything. And it could be just an outlet just to get away from regular life to talk about something that they love. And I feel like that is definitely something that I feel you guys, having people with the content club, helping people be able to, make their podcast or whatever they do, be able to make it and show to someone that it is worth something and not feeling like that they're worthless. And I think it's absolutely great, everything that you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. And I think you're so on point with so many things. I mean, just that community element is really what makes all of this go, right? It's you want to have people that you like, that you trust, that you, to some level agree with, but also can disagree with, and have a real conversation about it, depending on what the whole thing is. So just to have all that kind of stuff and know so many people are doing it, there's no easy way to do it. And there's no clear way to do it. Before it was, okay, I'm going to get a job at a TV station and then I'll spend all these years there and I'll be a producer and do all this other stuff. And eventually maybe I'll get on the air, or I'll go to Wichita and I'll get on the air there. And then I'll work my way back. And it's just not what it is anymore. And so it's okay, well, I want to do a show and I have some audience and I want to make money from that. But people think, oh, well, I'm not a television show and I don't have 10,000 followers, so I'm not worth anything. And those people are totally wrong. If you've got a couple hundred people that follow you and listen to your stuff and engage with you, that's value. Those are people that are listening to you. So I don't think enough businesses appreciate that. I mean, hey, I'm a small pizza shop. You got 500 people that listen to you. Don't you want 500 customers? You know what I mean? 500 potential customers? Yes, you would love to talk to 500 potential customers every single day. Why don't you do that? I don't know. It's not TV numbers. So the whole thing's silly. The whole thing's dumb. We hate all of it. And that's it, man. So yeah, it's just how can we bring that together? Obviously, we started in the sports world, and that's where we've done so much. And we've met a lot of great people. I mean, guys like you and so many other people we've just seen out on the road last year and everything. But yeah, man, I mean, there's money for all of us, guys. There's money for all of us. You just got to find the right place to go get it.
No, absolutely. You are 100% right. Vince, thank you for joining us on this episode, all about the Birds weekly report, and definitely going to catch up with you as the season comes closer. And I'm going to probably reach out to John as well. I do want to talk with him as well. Both of you guys do a great job on Bell and the Birdmen. You guys have some great ideas. I don't agree with your Russell Wilson takes. You know that already.
I don't agree with my Russell Wilson takes anymore. So, yeah.
But no, it's you guys do a great job there. And I do am very happy that you joined me tonight to talk a little bit about the Eagles. And we'll definitely catch up in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.